Hello world, welcome back to Razor Motorsports, and we're kicking off a new series on the channel today. So we're going to be talking about our track days. So if you've got a sport bike or maybe even a street bike and you've always been wondering how to get to the racetrack and ride around and have fun, that's what this series is intended to do. Kind of cover what you need to do with the motorcycle, what you need to do with preparation for your equipment, all that kind of stuff. And today we're going to be talking about the fluid. So for sure, you want your motorcycle in good working condition, and doing routine maintenance or even changing out some of the fluids is a really good idea. Always check with your track day provider to find out what they require. Every track day organizer is a little bit different, although they tend to have kind of the same requirements. One of them definitely being no glycol coolant in your vehicle, so we're going to cover that. Also, I highly recommend, if you're doing any sort of maintenance on your motorcycle, to do it at least a week or two in advance of your actual track day. Definitely do not do this stuff like the night before your track day, working till 2 a.m. trying to get your bike ready. That is just a recipe for disaster. You may find that you didn't buy enough oil, and then your bike's not going to be ready, or maybe you forgot to buy a crush washer or something for your oil, your drain plug, or maybe you need a bolt or something, and you end up like trying to find which dealers open at like 7 a.m. The next morning. So definitely work on this stuff a week or two in advance. That way if something goes wrong, you're not going to stress out about it. You can always order parts, that kind of thing, and you'll just have a lot more fun on your actual track day. So we're going to cover what I highly recommend you do. These are the products I personally use, although there are alternatives. Kind of starting from the right, brake fluid is a really good idea. The street brakes, they're okay for the street, but on the track day environment, obviously you're going to be braking a lot harder. You're going to experience more brake fade. The temperatures are going to be a lot higher. I personally like this stuff, the Motul RBF 600. Make sure you buy a DOT compatible fluid with your actual OEM setup or whatever brake setup you have, because they are different. There's DOT 4, 5, 5.1, all kinds of different stuff. And you definitely want to make sure it's compatible because they're not all interchangeable. This is their factory race line. I believe they even have like a higher spec one now, but this is what I've always used. And what you'll notice with a brake fluid swap is that the temperatures will maintain a little more consistent. You'll be able to do more laps under heavy braking before you experience any brake fade. You will still eventually experience brake fade even with this stuff. The temperatures just get up so high, but I think you'll find that the brakes are a little consistent. And obviously on the racetrack, your brakes are your most important thing. You're going to be going really fast, doing heavy braking into corners. You do not want your brakes to fail. You definitely don't want them to get spongy, or you pull the lever and it goes all the way to the handle and you have like no brakes. That is the absolute worst possible thing that can happen on a racetrack. So I do highly recommend make sure your brake fluid is in good working condition. Race fluid like this you will want to swap out more often than your standard street stuff. This is hydroscopic. It will absorb water, moisture, that kind of thing. So you'll just find that the brake fluid needs to be changed more frequently than you would on the street. Second thing, definitely make sure your oil is pretty fresh. There's all kinds of oil out there. Obviously, you want the right weight, that kind of thing. This is again Motul stuff. I'm not sponsored by Motul or anything, but it's just what I've always used. On the racetrack, you're going to be hitting really high RPMs, close to red line. It's probably the most abusive condition to your motorcycle is going to be the racetrack, because you're just going to be really fast, heavy acceleration constantly. You want a good engine oil, of course, and then you will definitely want to make sure you have a factory OEM filter. I always swap out the filter with an oil change, and then of course you want to make sure you have your crush washer on the drain plug. You really should be changing that every time you change the oil. So yeah, a good oil for the engine is highly recommended. And then the last thing you're going to have to change out on your motorcycle is probably the coolant. Almost every track day organizer will require a coolant removal, and they will require you just basically run plain distilled water. The reason for that is coolant, at least glycol-based coolant is slippery. It's actually intentionally slippery to provide lubrication for your cooling system, but unfortunately, if you crash or you have a leak or something like that, if it spills onto the track, it's super slippery. Everyone else around you is going to go crashing down because they're not expecting like a really slippery surface. So that's why pretty much every track day provider, every racetrack is going to require you to remove any coolant that you might have in the motorcycle and switch to plain distilled water. Now, I do highly recommend you add some sort of engine cooling additive. Something like this is a very popular water wetter. This is what they call a super coolant, and the reason for this, it does provide a little bit of lubrication, does provide a little bit of corrosion resistance, and also breaks down what they call this, I guess, the water tension, so it will actually transfer heat a little bit better than just plain water. You don't have to use this, but it will allow your cooling system to work a little bit better. Now, downsides to this, you will have to change this out more frequently. Plain water does not provide any corrosion resistance. Even in an aluminum radiator, you will want to change more frequently to make sure you're not having any corrosion or anything like that. And this will help, but this does break down over time, and so you will probably want to swap it out, like every year or so, something like that. Over time. So yeah, there are other alternatives like Engine Ice, some other brands, but almost everybody will require this, and so you will need to do that. Definitely read the directions on the right ratio, that kind of thing, because this is an additive to that plain distilled water. So anyways, this is the first video in the series. Look for more. We will definitely be kind of documenting what else you need to get your bike ready for the track, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Looking for more videos hopefully soon, and thanks for watching.